Hey everybody, and welcome to another edition of Coach's Night Out. We are live at Town Square Social, 145 Public Square, and I've got a little announcement to make. This will be our final show for this year in this room. There is a major construction project going on with the folks here at Town Square Social. They're building a rooftop area that'll be open hopefully sometime before too long, and they're going to have a stairwell coming right through this room. So we are going to move across the square to Cedar City Brewing Company, 112 Public Square, beginning next week. We'll be upstairs, have our own room. It's maybe a little bit different menu. It's still high quality food. Be a great opportunity for folks who have not seen everything they've got to offer at Cedar City Brewing to come on over and take a look and sit in on our show. But that's going to happen starting next week. Advantage Roofing Contractors, LLC, Donnie Self and Rob Painter make this show possible, along with Shop Springs Creamery, Jeffrey and Elizabeth Turner, the Salas Realty Group, 120 Public Square, THW Insurance Services, LLC, 321 West Main Street, Lebanon, Cumberland University Athletics, and D.T. McCall and Sons, Lebanon, Carthage, Lafayette, Franklin, and Cookeville. This show, Coach's Night Out, airs live on Blue Devil Broadcasting. You can also pick up this show at TB Sports 5 and 8:30 tomorrow morning on the Wilson Post Facebook pages. And when I get back to the house, I'll share it on several other pages tonight. No games coming up on week 8, Friday, October the 11th. That is a universal open date for everybody in Wilson County, public and private, due to fall break. Let me run through the scoreboard from last week. On Friday of last week, Friendship Christian got into a track meet with Providence Christian, 52-51. Friendship Christian wins that game. Lebanon goes to Gladeville and defeats Wilson Central 41-6. Giles County over Watertown 42-21. That game played in Pulaski. Franklin Grace Christian defeated Mount Juliet Christian 56-0 in the final home game of the year for Mount Juliet Christian Academy. And Green Hill goes to McMinnville and beats Warren County by a score of 38-0. And then on Thursday, Mount Juliet got a jump on everybody, and they defeated Antioch by a score of 26-8. Chuck Gentry, I've said all that to say this. Welcome to this show. No games to prepare for. I'm sure you were able to kick back a little bit and be a little more sedate in your weekend after the win over Wilson Central on Friday night.
Yeah, we stayed a little extra Friday night, Saturday morning to make sure everything was tidied up at the field house. And then Saturday, I guess when I woke up, I changed from bed to recliner just about, and had the TV on all day, and I slept through a lot of good college football games, I guess, and then ended back up there on the nightcap. So again, just a good weekend of rest and not stress of trying to get everything in and get prepared and ready for the next Monday to hit the ground rolling. Lebanon
ran the football so well against Wilson Central. I had some of the numbers, but Deuce Edwards, 17 carries, 230-something yards running, 4 touchdowns. He also caught a screen pass for 36 yards and a touchdown. 253 yards from scrimmage on 18 touches, 5 touchdowns. The first Blue Devil to have 5 touchdowns since Jordan Stafford did it back in 2009 in a game where Lebanon didn't have a healthy quarterback and they just had to run the ball almost every play. He had 5 touchdowns. You didn't go into the game thinking he was going to have that kind of game, but you knew you were going to run the ball a bunch against Central.
Well, we have kind of leaning towards more of that is their identity of, all right, let's turn around and hand number 2 the football and try to get a body on a body and let him run, and then everything else can come off of that. And the other night, up front, they did a good job, tackle to tackle, tight end and sniffer, and even wideouts blocking out. And we ran a version of our slice play, and Gian got a block on the edge, and then both wideouts were tied up there, and he made one man miss and was gone. And then we ran the buck sweep, and Giovanni Luna got a good block, and he's out the 88 and out the gate, and then cut back across the field. And we ran zone wham, and he hits it just straight up the middle, and nobody's got a chance to catch him. And so a lot of stuff went accordingly as we had planned it and what we had worked on. And then he did a good job of running hard and making some cuts. And I kid with him sometimes, said, "You're the fastest human magnet I've ever seen." And he is, Friday night he did an exceptional job of reading blocks and setting his blocks up. And he's an explosive young man, and if we'll just get in their way, sometimes he can make us right. And the very first play of the game, if he's a little more patient, he's got the cutback and probably scores on that one if he's just a little more patient. But caught a screen pass and did that out of a timeout, and then that was set up. Our offensive line did a really, really good job of getting out in front, and they rolled a safety down there, and Gio kicked him out perfectly, and got it up behind him and got going. And so it was a good night for not just Deuce, but our whole offense. And, it's not ever set up to be around one person, but right now he is making us go, and we've decided we're going to ride that for a little bit.
Well, and it's never really just one guy. The running back who scores the touchdown gets a lot of the headlines. But again, you talked about Giovanni Luna, who had a big block. Just from my observation, it looked like you had that tight end attached more in that game than perhaps you had in several other games. It gave you another blocker at the point of attack sometimes, and your sniffer or your big oversized wing back, the way you use that guy as a blocker, you were able to put bodies on bodies and get some creases.
Yeah, and because of the way they were setting their front, and obviously they had a little success the week before against Mount Juliet, getting everybody down in there. We thought that we might get some of that, and so we didn't want to be out there one-on-one when we want to run the football. So we got the tight end in there. We did some tackle over stuff and some wing stuff, and again, trying to do what we do, and it's not really fancy, but the guys did a good job of executing the plan, and he did a good job of running. And then one good thing that I have noticed the past couple of weeks, Gian is healthy, and those two are feeding off of each other. I'd never heard them say this before, but other night after the Watertown game, and they were calling each other Thunder and Lightning, and just giggling about it. But it was good to see those two with the camaraderie that they have, and it doesn't matter who's running the ball or doing what or whatever. It's just the way it plays out sometimes. But it's good to have a little success and have a big night on offense, because we hadn't had a big one like that in a while.
Was one of those touchdown runs by Deuce an audible at the line of scrimmage? It looked as though Isaiah got up there and changed something right before, and then boom, he busted.
We were running zone wham, and so depending on where they set the 3 technique and the 1 technique or the shaded nose, we were calling the play. And so we got them at the line of scrimmage, found out where the 3 technique was so we could call the play correctly.
So the play, is just which way we're going.
The kids don't know what I'm doing, but I know what I'm doing, so I'm telling all the coaches on the headset, tell me where the 3 technique is. And so we got him where we wanted him, and so Isaiah made the check, and again, worked out, and we creased it the way. And like I said, Deuce gets going so fast sometimes that, and I don't know what it's like, but to hit some of those holes and make that cut, and it's one where he has to slow down and wait on breaking just a little bit, and he paused just enough to let him get there and get that block, and then boom, shot out there like a cannon, and it's just it makes you feel good as a play caller of the stuff that you work on, and the stuff is, if you just execute it, it'll be there, that it works.
A couple of big plays in the passing game from Isaiah Mariah to Damian Callaway there in the second half. He let it go, and we said on the broadcast, we had critiqued his passing and the fact that he was gunning a lot of passes, but he got some air under those two, Chuck, and those were beautiful throws, great catches, weren't touchdowns, but plays of plus 40 yards on both of them.
Well, we've had people open a couple of times, and he's been antsy and uncorked them, and they've been too far or too hard or too outside, or he sees a safety and he thinks, I've got to do this, but Isaiah does throw a pretty ball when he just puts it up there and goes, and he didn't throw a bad one there early to TJ Searcy.
I remember that.
It just happened. We didn't make the play. The DB play had good coverage, and we didn't make the play. But our plan was when Dame came into the game to try to get him involved and try to get him, and so we knew we'd been running the football. They had playing outside leverage on us one-on-one, and their safeties were up in there, and so I told him, I said, we're going to take the shot. take your time, go make the play. Dane run a good route, go catch the football, and they did. And then, coming out of the timeout there on 4th down, I said, all right, let's be smart here, and they got impressed man, and he shook him a little bit, and he put a nice ball on him. So just two good things, and it was one of those things when things are good, they're going good, and then sometimes when they're going bad, they're going bad. And so it's one of those nights where it seemed like a lot of the stuff that we were doing was positive.
That had to feel good for everybody involved after the game to be able to take a deep breath and say, okay, this is the way this football team needs to play.
Right, and I've said this, I may be sitting right here in this chair, we have been close at different times this year. And I've also said there's a lot of bad football teams that say they're close. And so our kids have worked extremely hard. They took ownership of it. They didn't like where we were. They didn't like how we were playing. They didn't like the results. And the only way to fix it is to go to work. And they have done a good job of that. And, hopefully we're seeing the fruits of that labor, and that we will continue to get better as we come out of fall break.
It seemed to me, looking at Lebanon play defense, that you wanted to make a statement at the line of scrimmage, that you had some physical guys at the line of scrimmage to play against Wilson Central, and they really kind of forced their will on them.
Well, they get a lot of people in a small area at times and make you be. You're either going to be physical or
get run over.
You're either the hammer or the nail, one of the two. And and Coach Kuhn has done a good job of promoting his program and doing those things. But we kind of challenged their kids. They don't think you're as physical as them. They don't think you as tough as them. They don't think you got as much grit as them. And kind of used what he's using in his program to try to motivate our guys, and I felt like they've come out ready to play, and they wanted to be physical and make a statement. And again, there's times when we didn't get lined up right because of all the trading and motioning and stuff, and they had a shot there on a play there when corner let one run by him that we can't have happen coming out of a timeout. That I told him, I was like, I told you specifically that cannot happen, and then it happens. But for the most part, we were bend but not breaking. And there in the second half, it was 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, and just playing with good effort and running to the football. Not always perfect, but when everybody's running to the football and tackling pretty well, it makes it easier than when people are not running the football as well and not tackling as well. But we have worked on that, and we did just about every kind of tackling drill that you can do to try to make it better. And everybody's tackling everybody besides starting quarterback, starting tailbacks getting tackled. So it's one of those things, and sometimes it's just the starting quarterback is not getting tackled. So it's good to see our kids have some success when they have put the work in to do that.
You ran another kickoff back. Jadon Stafford got it and took it all the way to the house. There was a bad block away from the play. You've had good success running those kickoffs back this year.
Coach Williams does a great job with our special teams, and they take pride in it. It's either an offensive or a defensive snap to us, one or the other. And, the penalty was way away from the play, but it's a kid that's trying to finish a block and trying to, maybe do a little too much. He did his job and helped spring the.
Yeah.
But at a point, on a kickoff return, pancakes aren't necessary, all the time. If you get one, great. But, just give him that little lane. And again, 2 or 3 blocks that sprung him. And Jadon is very electric with the ball in his hands. And, hopefully hopefully we can keep running kicks back, but hopefully we don't get too many chances to run those back because usually they have to score to kick off, but other than one time a game. So hopefully we don't get too many of those chances. But, when we get it, we do take advantage of it, and our kids on that team is also doing a good job. And also they tried to kick an onside kick at the start of the second half, and again, we had talked about it. We knew it was coming, and Jonah Gardner did a excellent job of getting in front of it and fielding it. And it just shows everybody if the guy don't hit him before he gets a chance to, he would field that ball. We won't talk about anything like that.
But he got down, covered it up.
Looked like a shortstop.
Got down there on that thing. Another kid I wanted to talk about, number 40, Sherelle Simpkins, outside linebacker. Had a couple of quarterback sacks, and there was another sack, and I can't recall who had that. Jawan Stafford. But Simpkins really active getting after the quarterback.
Yeah, again, we kind of put him in two different places depending on what they were doing, and so sometimes he was a weak side rush in and got to go peel his ears back and go after the quarterback, and he did a really good job of the one time ripping and running and making the sack. I think he got in double trouble after the celebration a little bit.
I remember that.
Coach Fry got him, then I got him, and then I think Coach Fry got him again when he come off the field. But again, it's I have to be the no fun police, but when you want them to be excited when they make a play, just at different times you can't do different things and stuff we talk about, but it was exciting to see him make a play. And one of the big plays of the game, they tried the throwback screen, and Deontay Wilson was all over it early in the game. That kind of set the tone of, all right, we're going to do what we prepared for. We're going to read our keys, stay at home, do the things that we've been coached to do. And he was setting all over that one and kind of set the tone for the night.
That's got to feel good, because things that you work on, if they'll just execute those things, you'll be in pretty good shape on Friday night, and to see them do it.
Yes, and again, just a sophomore out there making a lot of checks, making a lot of calls, and then all that motion and everything going away from you, and you are disciplined enough to stay at home and do it, which, again, we had worked on it, but in the flow of the game, sometimes that gets lost in translation, and you're wanting to make a play instead of, and that's been some of our problems of, hey, this play didn't get made, so I want to go make my buddy's play to make sure that he makes his play. And then, well, he's doing his job this time, but you're not doing yours. And so, Friday night, other than, really one drive where there was 2 fourth downs and a long third down converted, we played pretty good team assignment, effort, run to the ball defense.
You can build on a win like that, can't you?
Well, it was good going into fall break to have that win, have that momentum, and for the kids to feel, all right, they've been on us. We've wanted to be better. We put in the time and the work, and it all kind of accumulate to a big win, which was much needed against a rival.
I've got this hat up here. Zion Logue on Sunday, in his NFL debut with the Buffalo Bills, we counted, he played in about a third of the defensive snaps for that football team in that game against the Texans. And thank goodness the Titans were idle, so we got the Texans-Bills game on TV in our area. He had 2 tackles, and Chuck, Zion Logue, class of 2019 from Lebanon High, looked like he belonged.
Yeah, I had to tape the first half of it, and so when I got home from church and sat down, as soon as I turned it on, it's the second half, and I'd already had people texting me pictures and things, but he's out there and playing different times, and then when they had to get a stop, the play, I guess 2 plays before they'd run the ball and then they put him out there, and then he's in there taking up 2 blockers, and the linebacker comes free and makes a play behind the line, and then he pursues down the line and makes a tackle himself. And to see him do those things that they signed him to do is special. And again, we all know he is a run stopper. That's what they signed him for. That's what they are asking him to do. They're not asking him to rush the passer very much, but he'll get those opportunities as he earns them. But for the job that they are asking him to do, I thought he did a wonderful job of that. I texted him pretty quickly after the game was over that was proud of him, that I thought he did a good job of doing what he was supposed to do, and no, it wasn't the outcome that he wanted, but good first one and something to build on, and just keep working.
And that's kind of been his MO throughout his football career, is doing what he's asked to do, to take that Bill Belichick quote, just do your job. And his time at Georgia, his time now, you got one game you can look at for his NFL career, but he's doing what he's been coached to do, is to create piles and to push that pocket. And there was a couple of times he's pushing that center back into the pile.
Right, and I had a gentleman one night at a basketball game asked me, he ain't making many plays. And,
this is when he's at Georgia.
This is when he's at Georgia, and I said, well, you got to look at it a certain way. And he said, what do you mean? And I said, well, he's playing on the number 1 team in the nation. He's playing about 60% of the run snaps. And I said, they're not asking him to rush the passer. They're asking him to, A, take up double teams and control his gap, and B, push the center or guard or both back and be 6'6" and stand in front of that quarterback with his hand up, and let all those other guys that are high-profile guys come off the edge and do what they do, and he's letting them do that. And I asked Zion one time, you don't shoot any pass moves, and he said, if I do, I don't play. And he said, I'm not supposed to. And that's the kind of young man he is. The stats does not matter. But Trey Scott and Kirby Smart were asking him to do a job. Yes, sir, I'm going to do that job. And, if you look at his stats for his 5 years at Georgia, there's not a lot of tackles and not a lot, but there's a lot of snaps on really, 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 really good football teams. And there's a lot of video of him talking at press conferences, because he was the mouthpiece of that defense for 2 years, because he's using that communications degree, that's what he went for, to be articulate and speak. And then also, Kirby Smart looked at me in his office and he said, there's 1 or 2 things going to happen here. He said, I'm going to run him back to Lebanon, or he's going to make some money playing football. And last week, he signed a contract, and he already had one. He signed another one, and then out there playing on Sundays. And there's not many people in this world that can say that. And to do it at a high level and do a good job, it's just a testament to the character and the young man that he is.
That at that draft party his family had after he was drafted in the 6th round by the Falcons, had a party. Bobby Kay and I were there, and they gave out these armbands, and one of them says, enlarge my territory. You talk about enlarging territory. Zion Logue will be playing on Monday Night Football against the New York Jets in East Rutherford, New Jersey, coming this Monday night. It doesn't get any bigger than that.
Well, he's the kind of young man that the Bills Mafia will love, because he's a blue-collar, hard worker, no-nonsense guy that doesn't meet many strangers. People will love him. He has the personality. Plus, he's pretty good at football, too, and he kind of sticks out in the crowd. And I'm assuming that from reading the scouting report that he will probably be up Monday night and will dress and probably get some playing time. And again, Monday Night Football is minus the Super Bowl and the playoffs is as big as it gets. So the whole world will be watching just a kid from Lebanon out there having fun.
And you might not believe us, but when Lebanon had their casino night, Zion Logue was there, shook a lot of hands, signed a lot of autographs, and hung around at the end of it and helped pick up trash and plates and help the people there put things away when he didn't have to do that. That's just the nature of that young man.
2 years ago, I asked him, "Are you going to be here?" And he said, "Yes, sir, I'm going to be there." And I didn't know he was going to do it, but at the very end of the night, there were 11 of us there. And he made sure that every table was clean. All the napkins, tablecloths were in bags to put up. All the dishes were in the back. All the trash was taken out. All the stuff that went in my truck was in my truck. All the stuff that went in Earl's was in Earl's, and made sure that everything was done. And just the kind of kid he is. I mean, it just speaks a testament. And the kind of kid that wants to have a youth football camp for little kids, just because he said, "I was a little kid one time with aspirations, and any camp that I could go to that I could get in, I wanted to do that." And now he's had 2 very successful ones, and hopefully, knock on wood, everything goes good. We'll have a 3rd one this coming up summer.
He's got the body and the mentality, and again, that work ethic and the dependability. Zion Logue could have a long career in the NFL.
He could. I mean, he's the kind of kid that's going to, I say kid, I need to say young man.
But he's only 23. He started school a year early.
That is going to do whatever they ask him to do. It does not matter whether it's show up at 5 a.m., leave at midnight, whatever they ask him to do. He's not one that will push back. He's not one that will mouth. He's not one that will do those things. And that right there will give him an opportunity, along with his God-given genetics and ability, to hopefully have a long career. But I told him a long time ago, use football to get your education. He did. He's got a certificate degree from the University of Georgia that he can fall back on at any time. And I said, minus that, everything else is icing on the cake. And I've told his mother this. I didn't know we was going to have several layers to that cake and keep putting icing and strawberries on top and everything else. But he has far out past what we had thought when he was a sophomore in high school. And he looked at me and said, I really want to play in the NBA. and I said, can we talk about that a little bit? But he has. Everything else is icing on the cake, and he has done a wonderful job. He's had many people in his corner help him get there. But every day he's made the choice of, I'm going to get up and work. And like I said, he had some hard times at Georgia early on about, he's practicing every day against NFL players.
Yeah.
And at that point, he wasn't ready physically and mentally and mature to do that, and he had some hard days. And he overcame those and earned the trust of that coaching staff, and it's just been up and up and up from there. And I can remember the day I was walking down the hall at Lebanon High School, and Trey Scott said, he's got a chance. And I said, a chance to play? And he said, no. He's going to play. He's got a chance to be an NFL football player. All he's got to do is stay on the right path. And, I will give Coach Scott credit for finding him and saying, it's my job to make him. He's got all the talent. if he'll do his part, I'll do my part. And again, you know, he did that, and Georgia did that, and again, it's been a fun ride to be on.
Chuck, thanks for the visit. I appreciate it. We've stretched it out a little bit this week because of fall break, and our other coaches are out enjoying the time away. Thank you for the visit. Thanks for the insights on Zion, and we will talk to you next week at our new location, Cedar City Brewery, okay?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Tom.
Chuck Gentry, head coach of the Blue Devils, with us. We'll be back after these words. Yeah, I got a call from DirecTV. Hey, thanks for staying with us here at Town Square Social. Advantage Roofing Contractors, LLC, Donnie Self and Rob Painter. Shop Springs Creamery, Jeffrey and Elizabeth Turner. The Salas Realty Group, 120 Public Square, Lebanon. THW Insurance Services, LLC, 321 West Main Street. Cumberland University Athletics. DT McCall and Sons, Lebanon, Carthage, Lafayette, Franklin, and Cookeville make this show possible. No high school football games this week because it is fall break. They will be back playing on Friday the 18th. Everybody will be in action. There'll be a lot of stuff going on then. But right now, Tim Mathis, head coach at Cumberland, with me on the program. Tim, you guys went to Campbellsville. You come out on the short end of a 27-14 football game. First loss of the year. You didn't feel like, particularly offensively, you played the way you needed to.
No, I mean, it's just we turned the ball over. You can't, we talked about it in the St. Andrews games. When you play a better team, if you turn the ball over, it's going to cost you. And we shot ourselves in the foot several times that we're in the games, 14-14 going into the fourth quarter, and we just too many mistakes, too many turnovers, and we didn't just miss some reads, miss some keys and things that. Looking back on film, we had every opportunity to win that football game, and we didn't. They outplayed us and out-executed us, and, it is what it is, especially after watching film. It wasn't that they were, and it's not taking anything away from them because they're a good football team, but they weren't better than us. It was we made too many mistakes, and you can't make mistakes and win football games.
Well, particularly within the conference, and you knew going in that you needed to play a clean football game, and you didn't, and those are tough things to overcome.
They're real tough to overcome, and some crazy things happen, like we're still 21-14 driving to tie the game, and the ball goes through a young man's hand and hits his helmet and bounces 10 yards up the field right into somebody's hands for a pick six, and it's when it's just not your night. But you have to play. When we're in our conference, it's usually who's going to win. It's who has the cleaner game, and so you got to take that for what it is. from that game, you take what the positives were, and then you try to correct the mistakes and grab on what's good. And you know, we've had 2 really good practices this week getting ready for Bethel.
When your guys look at the film and there's a breakdown of, you know, the receivers are here, the running backs, the line, the defensive unit, when they see those little things and can be singled out, they stop it, they run it back, say, okay, now here's what we did. This is not what we want to do. What a great teaching tool, and your kids are mature. They've played a lot of football. They should learn by those things.
They have, and they do, and you know, saying that, they have played a lot, but we're still crazy young, like a lot of our guys, you know, have the opportunity to come back next year. But it is the film, you know, it is great on film. I know in my situation, I usually stop it before the play. I know what we did wrong, and I stop it before the play. Okay, what are we doing here?
What are we supposed to do?
What are we supposed to do? So then you run it, and it's like, well, why didn't we do that? And, you know, and it's sometimes when bullets are flying, you know, you make mistakes, and you just got to try your best to limit it. You're not going to have a mistake-free game. I don't think I've ever seen one that's just 100% no mistakes, but you know, you just try to eliminate those, and we had them in real critical situations. You know, we had a couple of turnovers where we're driving the ball in the red zone, turning the ball over, and you can't do that. Had several defensive times where we had one that was 3rd and 20-something, and we give a first down up, and you know, you have them off the field, or we stop them on 3rd down, and they had a fake punt that went for a first down, and you know, those are backbreakers that you know, again, credit to them. They made the plays, but those are, you know, those times defensively and on punt return or whatever, you can't have those. The guy knew I'm supposed to do this, but in the heat of the moment, he didn't do that. You know, his eyes were supposed to be on that guy. It's the guy he's supposed to hit, and he didn't. But, you know, again, you take the good things from that, and you try to build on, because I told him after the game, everything we want to do is still up there. It wouldn't, not saying they won't, but it would shock me if Campbellsville went undefeated. I don't think they're the best team in our conference. And we got a heck of an opportunity this week with Bethel coming to town. Everything we want to do, you know, you take care of this game, we're dang sure back in the hunt.
Yeah, you talk about the mistakes. Those are correctable things,
right,
aren't they?
It's not, and I told somebody this, you know, the hardest part about this game is sometimes, you know, you don't want to admit this, but there's times where, you know, the team's just better than you, and you just got to take your butt whooping.
Yeah.
You know, but when they're correctable, that's why it hurts a little more, is because, you know, play the game again, we probably win the game or whatever if we have those mistakes corrected or whatever. So there is a positive out of it. It wasn't just they were better than us and we just can't. We just got to eliminate the mistakes.
I know in listening to your post game and watching the stream and that sort of thing, your kids were disappointed at the end of the football game. I don't know if dejected is the right word, but you wanted them angry about that. They
well, I made that a point after the game. Is, you know, it is. There are two things I made a point in. You know, there was 40-something seconds left in the game, and we had our 3 timeouts, and I made them punt. And you know, we're down 13 points. Are we going to win the game? Probably not. We're going to make a point that we're never going to quit. You know, and we got the ball back and got to run 3 plays. But, you know, I wanted to make that point. Then at the end of the game is, you know, this needs to hurt. It better hurt, because losing shouldn't be fun. It shouldn't be nice. It shouldn't make you feel good. You should detest it. It should be something that you don't want to do. So, you know, you do want that. You do want them to feel bad. And then again, it's a 24-hour rule. After 24 hours, it's over. We can't go back and play the game, so then it's what can we do to make sure we don't do that again. And you're getting ready for a team that's probably better than who you play.
Well, your football team has invested a world of work to get ready for this season, and then during the season itself, these games matter, and Bethel is the next one up. What do you see about Bethel on both sides of the football team?
Offensively, you know, what it looks like, they're not scoring as many points as they were the last 2 years. The guy they had at quarterback has graduated, and he could really sling the ball around.
I remember him, yeah.
Could sling the ball around, and, you know, they don't have him. The guys they got playing quarterback right now are more running quarterbacks, so they do more, you know, zone read stuff, a lot of read plays with the quarterback, runs and stuff. They do more of that. It's not that they can't throw it. I don't think they're as good throwing it. And they graduated 2 great receivers. And you know, I don't know that they necessarily replace those guys yet. They probably got some guys that can do it, but they're probably not as good as those guys yet. They're just young. They're young guys that they have there. So offensively, they're not putting as many points up as they normally have, but, you know, they're still a good football team. Defensively, that's the same Bethel defense, and they hadn't changed it in a couple of years of what they're doing. The one thing I've noticed on both sides of the ball is there's not as many transfers as there normally is that they've had at Bethel. So it's some guys that they've had there at times. They don't look quite as big as they have on defense, but it's going to be the same defense. It's a base 3-4 defense, and you know, it's going to be a battle and a challenge. It's saying that they don't do this well, don't do that. You know, I don't remember what they're 4th or 5th in the country, so they're a good football team.
Oh yeah.
I'm not saying they're not that, but they're not as efficient offensively as they've been in the past. With that guy throwing the ball like he could, they could run it better because you didn't know what they were going to do. So, you know, it's going to be a challenge for us. We can't play like we did last week and expect to win the football game. But, you know, we have an opportunity. We're at home, which is awesome. And, you know, get everybody out there. It's homecoming, so we ought to have a huge crowd there. And you know, that's going to be important for our crowd to be loud and proud and get into the game, because that, you know, that can help us win a game.
Well, there's a world of things going on. I know Friday night is the Hall of Fame induction dinner. They're going to have that at the Dallas Floyd Phoenix Arena. They've got activities pregame where they'll introduce the Hall of Fame folks. There's 6 individuals plus a 2007 or 8 women's basketball team that was runner-up in the country in the NAIA. That'll go on pregame, halftime, the presentation of the Queen and all those sort of things. There'll be alumni groups. I know that there's a Herschel Moore era football reunion going on. But at 1:30 in the afternoon, it's football.
Right, and it'll be a great atmosphere against an in-state rival that's 3 hours away. That's always, you know, there hadn't been many of our games the 7 years I've been here, I think, except one that was a non-contest that when we were there. It's always been a tooth and nail battle. We play each other tight all the time, so, you know, it should be a great football game.
Again, it's going to boil down to how Cumberland plays and executes. It seems like when I've seen you, you're trying to do the right things. Mm-hmm. It's just executing and, again, hanging on to that football.
Right. I mean, that's if you know, I think we have a chance to win the game if we just hang on to the football. Even with some of the misreads or whatever, we still have a chance to win it. Is, you know, we've got to create turnovers, and you know, if we get a team defensively, we've got to create turnovers. We have them a chance where they're backed up. You know, we can't give them breathing room and let them get a first down, this and that. Special teams, we've got to, you know, that's part of the game. And, you know, the fake, we had them stop. The fake punt ended up turning into 7 points. So if we stop them there, they don't get those 7 points. All those things matter, and it's just, you know, I always say it, if we take care of Cumberland, we have a chance to win the football game.
There's a young man who stands out to me. I got to looking at some of the post-game stats. Follis, linebacker, several stops, maybe a sack in there, another tackle for loss. defensively, you guys made some plays. Your offense put you in some tricky situations, but did you feel like defensively you played well enough to be where you
that's
wanted
what
to be?
they played. I think they had 2 times where we gave them a first down on like crazy long situations. Other than that, yeah, they did. I mean, they played well. Like again, our defense isn't out there on the punt return or whatever. It's a whole different team. They did, they stepped up and played well, and the problem was offensively we kind of moved the ball. It's just like I said twice. Once in the red zone and getting to the red zone, we're just moving the ball down the field and we make a mistake. And you just, against a good football team, you can't do that and expect to win the football game. So, defense just got to keep playing hard, keep doing what they're doing, and they do a good job. Coach Smith's going to have them ready to go. He's going to have them, locked in and dialed in to what we need to do. And then it boils down to execution. We got to out-execute Bethel.
How many guys did you play in the offensive front?
7 or 8.
Okay. And that's about where you wanted to be, right?
We want to be there, and it'll be more of a rotation this week because we had some guys just coming back, so they didn't get as many reps, but they'll get more reps. And that, even that might have been because, I don't think we played our best game up front, but part of that might have been that just getting back into it, that rotation. And those guys are a week into it now up front and doing that, and I think we got a really good game plan for it. So, ball that we can pound on them and just plug people in and keep doing that. But I do feel a lot better going into this week about where we're at, where last week some of it might have been a little rust. Thinking they weren't ready yet. Maybe they weren't, but that's my fault. That's not their fault or anything. Is knowing how many reps they should have got or whatever, and making sure they were prepared, because that's on me. It's not the kids' fault. It's my fault of getting them ready or whatever. But I am excited that we're going to be able to play 7, 8, or 9 kids up front.
And a lot of folks don't realize those 5 offensive linemen in the game together, they've got to really play together. They've got to know and be able to communicate amongst each other.
That's the biggest thing. They have to communicate, and that's one thing Campbellsville did a bunch of was that they weren't very big, so they had to move around, and they moved around, and it caused us some issues where the communication wasn't where it needed to be sometimes, and that's really worked on that through Sunday, through getting into the practice here, going over the film and saying, hey, what should we be calling here, this and that, and that. So, that's definitely going to be better, because it is, when you start putting new people in there too. And for us, it's most of the time our center's the one that gets us where we need to go, especially on pass. He's calling the blocking scheme for our front guys on pass of which way to go, what's the man side, what's the gap side on the back side of it or whatever, and he's got to put us in the right situations, and he did that. But then it's just when they're twisting it, you got to make sure you're picking up the right guys, and they did that a lot, and making sure you're in the right spots. Our biggest problem up front was when you zone or whatever, you always want to be going straight ahead, and we were kind of sideways sometimes, so you couldn't see the guy coming off your hip or whatever. And if we're vertical, obviously our eyes are straight ahead and we can see it. So again, correctable stuff, and it's what we worked on a whole bunch this week was our footwork, because it got a little bad.
Well, and the running backs, you require them to be able to have good vision and see where things are.
They have to run off the blocks, because you play those positions. You're not going to have a great block every time. You got to be able to either set up the block. The running back's just as important as the guy blocking, because he can set the block up and make the guy go this way and cut back the other way. And so that all has to be working together. And our running backs are pretty good at that, to be honest with you. And they're really good at when they see a hole, they're going to hit it. And then we got a couple of guys that they don't see a hole, they're going to hit the guy that's in front of them and try to create a hole through that person. And so we're just looking forward to get back on the field Saturday, because we do have a bad taste in our mouth that we didn't play well enough for what we think we should be playing, and it really stuck in our craw, and the only way to correct that is to go to the next game.
And an angry football team can be a dangerous football team.
And a hungry football team, because they are. I've told you that at the beginning of the year. I think this team's competitiveness and composure and everything, this team's different. They're craving to be successful, and so this is the first time. The whole thing about this is you're going to have adversity in your life, and adversity it doesn't build your character. People say it builds your character. It doesn't. It reveals your character. It tells you who you are as a person. So this is the first time we got punched in the mouth. What are we going to do about it? And I'm anxious for that Saturday to see how our guys respond to. We hadn't tasted defeat until Saturday. So what's the response going to be?
Well, and respond is a good word. Reaction is something that happens in the spur of the moment.
Right.
The response is where you can gather yourself and go back to work, and then put it into practice the next set.
And that's what I'm looking forward to it, because I in my heart feel how they're going to respond, but we got to wait to see it on Saturday. But I really love this group of guys, and I just think their competitiveness and their character is going to come up big time Saturday.
Do you feel like you'll have a good group of recruits, of potential recruits that come in on Saturday?
We've got a big group coming, and which is a big deal too. We got a big group coming to play a top 5 team in the country or whatever, and that and it's not a big task. I can't remember, it's my first or second year here. When Lindsey came in, they were 4, and we beat them. It's a big deal. It can, that could make a kid all of a sudden want to come here if they see the atmosphere. That's one thing I love about the Cumberland and our home crowds. Now, a lot of kids fall in love with the atmosphere when they get here, because we do have big crowds. It is loud and intense and all that, and it'll be it should be a huge crowd anyway, because Bethel's only 3 hours away, and it's an in-state, and Mike does a great job of recruiting Middle Tennessee too. So a lot of these kids are from this area that are at Bethel as well. So it ought to be a big crowd Saturday.
A kid that comes to mind when you mention Bethel, Jeremiah Bryant is from West Tennessee.
Yes.
And went to Missouri Valley to play, and had another year to play. Came here to play as opposed to going to Bethel.
And his dad played at Bethel.
His dad played there. He's from Madison County, Jackson.
He went to West Carroll.
And wanted to come here. Mm-hmm. That's got to speak volumes about the profile of this football team. Yeah, there's a kid who could play for anybody in this conference.
He could play for, yeah. He was in that conference, he was the first team all-conference running back in that conference, and that's where Grandview, who's number 2 in the country right now, that's their conference, and he was the best back in their conference. And when he wanted to come back to Tennessee to play, he didn't want to go to Bethel. He wanted to come to us, which it's humbling for that too. But and he's just a super kid, and is somebody, after looking at it, and as we talked when he got here, I'd slept, make many meals since that time, but he's somebody we had talked to, but we recruit so heavy around here, we passed on, probably shouldn't have passed on, pretty darn good running back turned out to be, but it was humbling. The whole thing as you're recruiting is how you treat and build the relationships, because anybody that goes away, Jalen Abs is a perfect example. when he went off to Murray State is if you build a relationship to begin with, if they have a bad experience, they know they have a good relationship and they'll come back. That happens a whole bunch. That's how you get some guys that maybe went to another school and come back, because you actually, when you have interaction with them, you treat them genuinely like a good person. You're upfront with them, you're honest with them, and build that relationship. And it just pays off in the end, and it does make you feel good when somebody wants to come to your program. And he could have went anywhere.
Yeah. Well, he's made a difference on your football team, and you've got a fun football team to watch. And I think folks would, if they don't have any plans, Oaks Lassiter Field at 1:30 is going to be a rocking place on Saturday.
It definitely will be, and we need everybody. There's no high school football on Friday night. If you're craving some football at 1:30, come watch the Phoenix.
Tim, thanks for the visit as always. Finish up practice strong this week and have a good game on Saturday.
Thank you. Go Phoenix.
Tim Mathis, head coach at Cumberland, with us here at Coach's Night Out. Again, let me remind you, this is our last night this season at Town Square Social. We're going to be making the move to Cedar City Brewing Company, 112 Public Square, next week. We'll be upstairs. They've got a private room up there. We'll have a big time. We'll have the show set up for you. Thanks for tuning in and making this program something that you want to bring into your house. Advantage Roofing Contractors, LLC, Shop Springs Creamery, the Salas Realty Group, THW Insurance Services, LLC, Cumberland University Athletics, DT McCall and Sons, Thomas and Richard, thanks for your work behind the camera. I'm Tommy Bryan, and I'll talk to you next week.